Hello everybody, happy Shark Week and welcome to Megalodon Monday. My name is June Ebersol. I'm the paleontologist at McWane Science Center in Birmingham. I'm here today to talk about Megalodon, a very popular shark, but also I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about how you can identify an ancestor of the Megalodon from teeth that you can actually find in gift shops. But let's start with Megalodon. I think most people have heard of Megalodon before. Megalodon is the largest shark that ever lived, but also the largest predator that ever lived. To show you how big Megalodon was, take a look at this graphic here. All right, so Megalodon is bigger than a school bus. Estimates from teeth suggest that they could grow up to 60 feet long. 60 feet is huge, weighing more than 10 elephants. If you look at a great white shark, if you look right here, great white sharks, largest predatory shark living in the oceans today, they max out at around 20 feet. Megalodon 3 times as long. Largest shark living today, whale sharks, they maxed out around 40 feet. So Megalodon was still about a third longer than even the largest shark living today. Megalodons were huge. They actually were whale eaters. Show you here, Megalodon was so big, Smithsonian put together an exhibit a number of years ago where they scaled up a great white jaw to the size of Megalodon teeth that were found in various places around the world, and they could fit 6 guys within the jaws. So absolutely huge. If you look at a single tooth of Megalodon, they are huge. To give you a sense of scale, here's a coin, quarter-size coin there. All right, so Megalodon teeth are pretty simple in shape, just basically big triangles. This is called the crown up here. This is called the root. Most times when you see Megalodon teeth, people will think that this is the front, the curved side is the front, but the front that actually is outside of the mouth is this side. It's the flat side. So when you see people wearing shark tooth necklaces, they generally have this facing out. They're actually wearing their teeth backwards. It should be this way, facing out of the mouth. So Megalodon is huge, but we really only know them from teeth. All right, so just like sharks living today, their skeletons are cartilaginous, meaning they're made of cartilage, the same stuff in your nose and in your ears. So mostly we know them from teeth, which is not bone, and it's not cartilage. It's actually made from what's called dentine and enameloid, pretty much the same structure of what we have in our teeth today. But very occasionally we can find vertebrae, so parts of the backbone. So a great white shark today, probably a 20-footer, would have a single backbone about this size. Megalodons, much bigger parts of the backbones. This one is actually broken. It's broken in half there, but you can see kind of the scale on how big Megalodon can get. For great white teeth, here's an average size great white tooth compared to Megalodon. Megalodon much larger. In fact, one of the largest great white teeth I've ever seen is this one, and it just pales in comparison to Megalodon. One of the common questions that I get is how can you tell great white teeth apart from Megalodon teeth? There's actually fossil layers out there where you can find both species. Well, the easy way to tell is just look at them sideways. Look how thick the Megalodon teeth are. This particular one is over an inch thick, where you can look how thin great white teeth are. I mean, this one is only a few millimeters wide. Even this huge one here, which is probably a 20-foot great white shark, you can see just how thin it is compared to Megalodon teeth. So good kind of simple way to tell them apart. And another easy way is to look at the serrations, the serrated cutting edges. They're serrated like a steak knife. Well, the ones on Megalodon, it's serrated, but much more gently. It's not as coarse. Great white sharks, it's much more larger serrations on the side of the teeth. So with Megalodon teeth such as this one, a lot of people would like to have them. You can find them out there. You can buy them on the internet. You can see them in gift shops, but they are ridiculously expensive. One this size, which is about a 6-inch one, I've seen them up to 8 inches tall. They can sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But so, although Megalodon teeth such as this one are really out of the price range for most people, if you go to gift shops, you can actually find a relative of the Megalodon that is very inexpensive. So I'm going to show you, for example, some teeth actually straight from a gift shop. All right, so this is just many little bags of teeth that I got from Gulf Shores down in South Alabama. The first thing I want you to notice is the color of these teeth. All right, if you notice, they're kind of yellow in color or tan in color. That is because most of the gift shop teeth are coming from Morocco. All right, so the sandy rock layers, sandstone layers that are coming out there, they turn the teeth this yellow color. If you see black teeth at a gift shop, it's coming from somewhere different. Most of those are coming from either Florida, from a place called the Peace River, or they're coming from the Calvary Cliffs area in Maryland. All right, so those are different time periods. Those are from different, you find different types of teeth than what you'll find from this Moroccan stuff. But the Moroccan teeth, it's kind of a challenge to identify the stuff from gift shops, largely because the Moroccan teeth are from different time periods that all get mixed together. Some of the teeth actually in this pile here are dinosaur aged. Some of them are from a time period just after the dinosaurs called the Paleocene. And then there are some from a slightly younger period called the Eocene. So the teeth can be 80 million years old, they can be 60 million years old, or they can be 40 million years old with all sorts of different species. So when I'm at a gift shop and I want to find the ancestor of Megalodon, I want to look for stuff that's Paleocene in age. I want to look for the 60 million year old teeth. An easy way to spot those, because unless you're a shark expert, you can't just look at the teeth and tell if it's dinosaur aged or after the dinosaurs or so forth. But a good clue would be look for these box-like things. All right, so these little guys here, these are actually stingray teeth. All right, so some people think they look like little worms or little centipedes. All right, these were very rare during the time of the dinosaurs. So if you come across a little bag that's got a lot of these in, we are talking about after the dinosaurs. That's a good time period to look for these ancestors of the Megalodon. Another good place to look is a lot of these gift shops have necklaces. So Megalodon ancestors are very popular to be turned into necklaces. Here's an example of one right here. This will run you about $3. All right, so obviously much smaller than a Megalodon tooth, but I'll talk about the importance of these here in a minute. So when you're looking at the big pile here, when you start sifting through, you're going to see all sorts of different teeth. Good example, this is just the crown, so it's missing the bottom part of the root from a sand tiger shark. Here's another sand tiger shark. That's a nice complete one there with the little side fangs and such. But the ones you want to look for, here's a really nice one here. Look at that. Okay, this is about the size of a quarter. All right, here's another one here. Look at that, I got two of them. Here's another one here. All right, these teeth are actually what's called a Todas. All right, so a Todas is an ancient ancestor of Megalodon. All right, so let me put these on here so you can get a good idea of what we're looking at. All right, so Patodos teeth are interesting. The name Patodos actually means eared tooth. So if you look over here, this is what they're talking about when they say ears. They're what called lateral cusplets. They're little side fangs that are attached to the tooth. So imagine rows and rows and rows of these, where there could be over 300 of these in the mouth at the same time, where not only do you have the main cusp here, but you have these lateral cusplets holding in anything that's in the mouth. The other thing you'll notice by these is look at how skinny and triangular this one is. Look at how kind of wide and hooked that one is, and then this one is also a little bit hooked. This is a difference between upper and lower teeth, where the ones that are skinnier, like this one, are actually in the lower. The ones that are wider are from the upper, and if they're hooked, that means they're from the side of the mouth. If they're more straight, that means they're from the middle of the mouth. So I can actually spread these out and tell you right now that is from the upper cheek tooth from the right side, upper cheek tooth from the left side, then a lower tooth from the middle because it's more symmetrical. So how do we know that a tooth this small is an ancestor of Megalodon? Well, that took decades and decades and decades of studying, where what we actually found was an entire lineage by studying different shark's teeth from around the world. So these ones right here, these are about 60 million years old, the ones that you can find in gift shops. But then right around 48 to 50 million years old, you can actually, and these guys, they can actually get pretty big. Here's an example of a bigger one. So even though most of the ones in gift shops are going to be 3 or 4 inches tall, or about an inch tall, you can get them to 3 or 4 inches tall, fairly large ones. But about 40 million years ago, you start getting these. All right, so these are called Patodos auriculatus. All right, so these are very similar. This is also a lower tooth from the middle of the mouth. But the difference is it's now serrated, all right? Serrated just like a Megalodon is, or just like a great white is, but it still has its ears. It still has its side fangs. So not only did it get these steak knife serrations, when these were smooth, they get these serrations, but they also started getting bigger. So I've got some sizable ones. I've had some of these that are 5 to 6 inches tall. But then by the time you get about 30 million years ago, you start getting these ones. All right, so this is from upper part of the jaw from the middle of the mouth. All right, if you start looking, they start losing their side fangs. This kind of has them right here. They're what are called vestigial, where they're losing them, they're shrinking. If I was able to zoom in, I could show you, but there's a little line showing where those little side fangs used to be. So they went from this small, unserrated teeth to these larger serrated ones. Then they started losing their side fangs until about 23 million years ago, they get huge and you get Megalodon, where the side fangs are now completely gone. All right, so one of the things that I study right here in Alabama is this lineage of ancient sharks. I can actually trace it back to an earlier time period during the time of the dinosaurs, where in the gift shops you can get these, but they're not very impressive. But they're called Cradolamna. They're almost the same shape as our Patodos, our eared teeth here. They're just much smaller. They don't get much larger than this, but there are lots of different species of them that after the death of the dinosaurs, they started getting big, then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you end up with Megalodon over here. So very, very impressive sharks. But these, yeah, once again, you get very common in gift shops. So if you go and you get these for just a couple bucks or you get a bag of teeth, you can say without a shadow of a doubt that you have an ancestor of Megalodon, which is very cool. So I'm going to move this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to show you a great white jaw. All right. Let's see if this can show up under the camera here. Okay, so here's a great white jaw. It's a little bit too big for the camera here, but we're looking at the lower jaw right here, and you can compare these teeth. You know, so great white is a very, very close, what we call a modern analog, where we can actually use great white jaws to figure out the tooth positions of these ancient megatooth sharks, in this case, ancestors of Megalodon. Then if I flip this around, I'll show you an example of the upper teeth, and you can see how much wider they are. And you can see how they start hooking towards the jaw hinge. So this one over here, for example, matches up pretty good with these ones on the edges. So that's how we can figure out where the teeth belong. Early researchers actually thought because Todas teeth look so similar to great white teeth that they thought that great white teeth and Megalodons were closely related. They're not. Megalodons have their own ancestors and such. But their teeth are very similarly shaped. They're big, gigantic triangles that are serrated. It's great for blubber eating. So great whites today like eating things like seals and such, where Megalodons were eating whales. They were the largest predator at the time and really that ever lived. But what's interesting, using a great white jaw like this one as a modern analog, it tells us a lot about Megalodon, where we only know Megalodon from teeth. So a good example is, if I count up the teeth in a great white, there's about 300 teeth that you can see. Here's a row of teeth right here, but these are the ones that you'll see if you're getting eaten by the shark. But the ones that you don't see are the replacement teeth. If I flip this jaw over, you have all these teeth, 5 rows behind them, getting ready to rotate themselves out. So I think people have heard that sharks replace their teeth, where humans and mammals, we generally get 2 sets of teeth, baby teeth that fall out, and then you get adult teeth. Well, in this particular case here with sharks, they replace teeth throughout their lifetime. So many teeth, in fact, that they can go through 20 to 30,000 teeth in a lifetime. I mean, think about that, 20 to 30,000 teeth coming out of one mouth. So they're going to lose their teeth every time they feed. They're just going to rotate forward. These ones at the very, very front here, next time, if this shark was still alive, the next time they would eat, those would fall out, and the next one would take its place. They never have to brush their teeth. Even if they get a cavity or something like that, it's just going to rotate out. Where when a tooth forms in the way, way back over here to moving forwards, with young sharks that are growing very fast, replacing their teeth fast, it might be a week and a half from the formation of a tooth to the tooth popping out of the mouth. So it's pretty amazing. But Megalodons are doing the same thing. So these teeth, like this one here, would have been 300 of these in a gigantic mouth with 5 rows of them all rotating forwards. Being the hardest thing in the body, this enameloid and dentine, is much harder than bone. It preserves unbelievably well. It's why we find so many Megalodon teeth out there. It's just the big ones are very difficult to find because a lot of sharks die young. They're getting eaten by other sharks. It's just hard to get huge, just like it's hard to find the biggest of the big great whites even today. If you watch Shark Week specials, you see how difficult it is for them to track down the 20-foot great white sharks. Well, the same thing with the big Megalodon teeth. So you really have to find the right age rocks, first of all, to find them, but then you have to luck out and hopefully find Megalodon teeth that fell out of the mouths of a huge individual. So even though, great whites, they're in the same order of sharks, they're called lamniforms. Again, they're not that closely related to megalodons. They just have teeth that are very similar, and so we assume the great whites were very similar to those. So if I go back to these gift shop teeth, you can see a lot of similar things of what I was just talking about. So a lot of these teeth here are replacement teeth that have fallen out of the mouth during the lifetime of the shark. Rarely ever will we find a shark that had died, and then you find all the teeth together. That hardly ever happens. It has happened, but rarely ever, where we don't get what we call associated dentitions, where it's all the teeth in order. They just fall out. Mostly what we get are these, which are all going to be teeth that have fallen out. This is an actually interesting example here. This is this is a big Todas tooth. You can see how much bigger it is than that particular one, but it's just the crown. We're missing the root part here, but you can also see kind of the inside of the tooth here. What's interesting about this is I can tell you that this is a replacement tooth. All right, when these teeth form, the smooth part, this enameloid part, forms first, and then the root part forms after. When you find ones in gift shops that only have this crown part, and you can see how thin the enamel is and so forth, this is a tooth that hasn't fully formed yet from the back of the mouth. So that's very cool. So this one is not a case where the tooth fell out of the mouth when it was feeding. This is an example of the shark died and then the tooth was later found. If you look at some of the other teeth in here, the most common shark that you're going to find in gift shops are going to be these ones. These are relatives of sand tiger sharks, and there's multiple species of these things. This one is not complete here. We're missing the little legs that come off, what we call the root lobes. But these are very close to our modern sand tiger sharks. All right, and these ones will also have little side fangs on there. But looking at the array of teeth here, most of them are those. And then the bigger ones are looking like, mostly are Todas teeth. Some of the gift shop stuff you can find very interesting things mixed in. They'll all be called shark teeth, but once again, you can find your ray teeth, which are also cartilaginous, so very closely related to sharks. But you can find turtle bones in here. You can find mosasaur teeth if you find stuff from the dinosaur age bags and so forth. But this is a good allotment. But the prize out of this for sure, definitely keep an eye out for your Todas teeth. So just remember, big, smooth, triangular crown with two of these little side fang ears on the side. So thank you everybody for joining us, and happy Shark Week.